School, man.
Whew.
They are just. I am a big advocate of school. I like school. If I could just be in school the rest of my life, it's way better than working a job. It's great.
But you gotta earn money.
But you gotta earn money.
Yeah. I thought about going back and getting my doctorate, but I don't know.
Dude, hey, it's not for everyone, Michael. It's not what it's cracked up to be.
Should we start calling you Dr. Hale?
That's what I wanted to get to. I need some more respect here. Everyone just calls me Zach, or heaven forbid, Mr. Hale or something
Mr.
like
Hale,
that.
no.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. There should be a title that goes along with having a master's degree.
There should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be. I'm trying to...
Master probably has fallen out of favor.
not a good look right now. I'm trying to. I just the way a lot of doctors up their clinical doctorates, so it's just you get a lot of hours and you get it. But I never did the master's, so I'm going back to get the master's. I went out of order.
You have a bachelor's and a doctorate,
correct?
But not a. That's
how it works.
That's how it works settings. But I mean, you probably put in the time of like someone who got a master's in mathematics and then a doctorate in mathematics.
Yep. Basically what they found out was like physical therapy used to be a master's, and they were like, if you just add 16 credits, it goes to it was like kind of close. And they thought that maybe, we could get more
clout,
autonomy.
And money.
Turns out the AMA, American Medical Association, has a lot more lobbying power than the American Physical Therapy Association. So we're not we're not going to touch what they got. But all that to say, school is honestly, school is crazy between the difference in schools, the difference in professors, what different schools want, arbitrary rules. I don't know if this is like a school thing or just where I went to undergrad, but I got penalized for... When I have a hard time, I don't understand the SAT because I only took the ACT.
Yeah.
But based on testing scores, I was not allowed to take some basic math or basic English. But I did not. It's not like I clept or got credit for it. But I just got placed where all my friends were in English 101. I started in English.
You were held to a higher standard without the benefit of
getting the credit and the easy stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just where I went to school or they place you in these higher things, but I think that's weird.
Yeah, that is weird. I haven't encountered that because most colleges will let you take the lower. Now, I had something kind of the opposite spectrum because I had a bachelor's of science in mathematics, and we used to make fun of the bachelor's of education. Bachelor's of Arts mathematics we're bachelors of science. You're bachelors of arts. We had to take some higher level math. They didn't have to take a few more math credits, and of course they had to go take their teacher, their teaching methods. There's a word pedagogical courses. But I took advanced mathematics. 1 and 2. And I took differential equations 1 or 2.
Sounds terrible. I'm scared.
And differential equation comes after calculus. So basically, you're looking at equations that are the equations of slopes, and you're figuring that. That's the background, just so you understand. A lot of math, a lot of in-depth math. When I was in the Navy, I'll say this. When I was doing my bachelor's, I started taking some computer science classes because they were part of our requirements because computer science and math is really closely related. And I was like, man, I'd change my major to be a computer science major if I hadn't already changed it twice. And it was in my senior year. So, but I was like, maybe computer science is where it's at. So I was in the Navy, and then my first job out of the Navy, I went back to the College of Charleston because my plan was to just go. I called them. I was like, I'd like to go get a degree in computer science. And like, well, you already have a degree in math. Why don't you just go get a master's in computer science? I was like, okay. So then I was like, well, you need to take these prereqs to do that. And so I ended up not getting my master's. This is a long story for a little payoff. But they made me take discrete mathematics.
Come on. Because
it was not on my transcript. I'm like, discrete mathematics is a lower level of advanced mathematics 1 and 2 and
but they
differential
needed that
equation. They're like, you have to have this one to go into the master's program. And so it was an easy A.
Yeah. But it was like, what are we doing here?
It's like, what are we doing? Like, I could, can I test out of this? No, you have to take it. I was like, okay, I'll go take it. If I had been a bachelor's of arts, they did take.
They did. That's so funny.
They did take discrete
how it's
mathematics.
different. Where my story goes wrong, it made me so mad because I could have taken this like easy English class and as you know, I don't love stories. I had to take like this Brit Lit class, and I'm like, this is like my like I had to like for my basic English, I'm taking British literature. I'm like, I don't want to do any of this. And then for math,
Jane Austen.
It also we did like exactly terrible stuff. And then for math, it got me too. Like my freshman year, I took a class they called it transcendental functions, but it's basically trig. And then so that was like my basic math. I had to take like 2 maths. And I didn't realize this because this is why it's a sore spot with me, because I was like, oh, all my friends are taking like
college algebra.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, oh, but they're taking college algebra and transcendental functions. I was like, oh, I just took transcendental functions, skipped it, great. My senior year, like I'm talking to my advisor, it's like, oh, you need your second math. So I'm taking Calc 1, which is fine. I took Calc in high school, but I haven't done Calc in 3 years. And it was miserable. And I was with like a bunch of like freshman math majors, and it was like I was like doing the worst, and I'm like a senior. It was like just a bad. I hated all of it.
You should have called me up. I could have helped you through some of those different those.
And the worst part of it was like I kind of remember this, but I don't. Because it was like from high school, and so it was like it was just miserable. And honestly,
power rule, chain rule.
I tried to block it out of my mind. I had to like go meet with my I usually classes were fine, and I was like, I know I'm not doing good, so I was like seeking my professor out in office hours, like really trying to be like, I'm trying here, and it worked out in the long run. But boy, did not like the math side of it, and even I did not. I'll tell you what, I did not like physics. I get why PT takes it. I think it's more important for the concepts more than the actual equations, but I did not love physics 2 and all of that kind of stuff. I was like, why? I don't care about waves. I mean, it's like, I like the concepts, but I don't like working out joules and energy and all. It's like, no, but anyway.
Kilocalories? Calories?
It was just, but I had anyway, it was fine. I did not learn a lot. And I was in my 2 options were I could do calc-based physics or... Is the other one trig-based physics?
Yeah, I mean, it's just normal algebra-based physics.
I think I was in the algebra-based physics, which was better for me.
Yeah,
anyway.
Calc-based physics is where you're actually going to, solve for some, I want to say differential equations, derivatives.
Oh, yeah.
Where you find the slope because, acceleration is the slope of your position is your speed, the slope of your speed is your acceleration, and the slope of your acceleration is your impulse. And so all of those are basically derivatives of each other. And so calculus-based physics, you're doing the calculus behind that stuff. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, me and a buddy, idiots in this physics class, and most of the people in our class were like pre-med, pre-physical therapy. It was kind of all this, it was not math majors, it was more of like these pre-professional degrees. And me and my buddy, dumbest kids in the class, aced physics 1 and 2, mainly because our professor was an idiot. And no, he wasn't. He was a really nice guy, really smart guy, but he would give us quizzes. And his quizzes, he used to like answer banks, which was not great. And we figured this out, and I just like literally memorized, 1.86 meters. Like I memorized certain things to look out for, and on the exam I was like, I recognize this, finished it in like 8 minutes, got like a 97. It was amazing.
So it was a multiple choice, and you knew that if it had this question in it, that this was the answer, because you just studied your quizzes.
And there were some things that did not.
Do you think he did that on purpose?
I don't know. I was like, that's a really poor way to learn, because it's not like, I can understand if it's like history class and that's how you learn because it's like memory, but it did not help me understand working out these problems. You know what I mean?
I would give, when I was teaching trig, I would give as a take-home quiz.
Okay,
Basically the test. I would give them the test.
But people don't know that. I mean, people don't.
I wouldn't say it's a test. But I would say, this is a take-home. Use everything you can, but be sure you know how to do this. And some students would catch on. Like, they're like...
Yeah.
And they didn't... One of them said to me at the end of the year, like, I realized that your take-home quizzes were your test, and I didn't want to say anything. Like, I didn't know it. Like, I didn't realize it. And like, did you? Why didn't you? And I was like, well, I want you to learn how to do this math, and if you put in the time to figure out how to do it on your own via a take-home quiz, and then you can demonstrate it. I know that there's going to be some loss and there's some cramming effect, but math is pretty cumulative, so it builds on itself. So you can't. That can only last for so long. But that was on purpose for me. I was like,
great.
I don't care. I want you to learn how to do this math. That's the goal here.
Dude, physics was so miserable for me. I actually really enjoyed the lectures, did not enjoy homework or tests. And for however it was set up, where I went to school, it was like physics 1 and 2 were both 5 credits. So it was like a Monday through Friday
5
lab.
credits.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's normally 4.
It's normally 4.
3 plus a lab.
Yeah.
A 1 hour lab.
And ours were not set up. I don't know. I guess Bob Jones thinks however they want to do it. They make their own rules. And it was like just miserable because it was like 4 lectures and then a long lab. It was like it's just being shoved down my throat. But it's good.
Yeah.
I made it through. That's sorry. Spent a long time on grievances.
Yeah, this is a lot of higher education grievances. Well, hopefully you have some higher education because we're going to be talking. This is our third and final.
Nice.
At least for current plan. We could always revisit the topic.
That's right.
Of the teleological argument. Today we're going to be talking about the fine-tuning argument. It's a type of argument that William Lane Craig gives. And I think if you've been following us through our other arguments, this will seem a little bit strange how it's structured, but hopefully you're prepared for it with the groundwork we've done so far. So with that, let's take it to the next level.
From the heart of the Low Country in South Carolina,
it's the Take Two podcast, where we take theology to the next level. All right, so just to recap what we have covered before, episode 1, we really kind of just defined some terms, introduced you to like some of these key terms like specified complexity or reducible complexity. We talked about some options to explain away fine tuning or apparent design. We don't want to say design is design, but necessity, chance, or design. Talked about thinkers like Paley, Dembski, Behe.
Behe, I like that name.
Behe, yeah, Michael
Behe.
Nice. Episode 2, we looked at some of how these applied to like our local area, like our Earth, the life here, our galaxy, our solar system, those types of things. So now we're going to talk about the cosmos at large. And we're going to talk about the fine-tuning of the cosmos itself. And this is, unfortunately for you, is going to talk about some physics equations.
But I like physics, just not the actual equations, but I like the concepts.
The concepts. So we're going to talk about the concepts. So William Lane Craig has made this argument famous. I don't know if he came up with it or if he just fine-tuned it for his own
nice.
for his own uses. But this is the standard form. So he just asserts the fine-tuning because every scientist worth their salt will acknowledge that the universe is finely tuned for life, for the existence of matter. That's a fact. You don't really even have to defend that.
People will say we are in the Goldilocks zone. Like that's not something we just said. Like everyone says that. Yeah.
Right. So he's not going to necessarily argue for the fine tuning. He's just going to assert the fine tuning of the universe is due either to physical necessity, chance, or design.
Which we kind of already looked. Those are the options.
Yeah,
so that checks out.
That's why I spent time talking about those last two. So hopefully that. I get that. And now he's just going to assert it is not due to physical necessity or chance.
So one option, yeah, okay.
Therefore, it is due to design. And so really the meat of this argument is saying, the premise 2 is where you have to do most of your defense to say it's not physical necessity. All these constants, the initial conditions of the universe could have been different. So it's not physical necessity. And it's not chance. Like the chances are wild. Like, the Dumb and Dumber, what is the chances of a guy like me gives a guy like you 1 in 10, 1 in 100, more like 1 in a million? Oh, so you're telling me it's a chance? It's much, much worse than that.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's like one thing. If it was like 1 in 100, not likely, but no, those kind of things happen. It's way worse than that.
It's way worse than that. All right, so premise 1, we've already really covered this. There is fine-tuning, and due to the law of excluded middle, it either has to be necessary or not necessary. If it's not necessary, we can break that into 2 different components, either by chance or not by chance. But not by chance means someone has tinkered with it, someone has designed it, someone has made it be that way. There's been agent causation in that. Premise 2, we're going to say it's not physical necessity. And so what we're saying is there's nothing this is, I think, hard for people to wrap their minds around because they're like, well, the gravitational constant is this. But what we're saying is there could be a universe that could exist where the gravitational constant was a different
It could be
number.
like slightly off, and we could still survive, and we could live. No.
What we're going to show is that there's nothing that would make that constant have to be that physically. But if it was different, then
everything
things
would
bad.
be.
Things are bad.
So if it's just like a tiny bit difference.
Gotcha. Either life can't exist, or in some cases, matter doesn't even form. Like you can have all these particles, but they can't really they can't form any concrete matter like bonds and like chemical bonds and stuff.
Okay, gotcha. So it is necessary.
That's why what we're saying is, in order for there to be a life-permitting universe, these have to be finely tuned like they are. But there's nothing that's forcing the gravitational constant to be 6.674 times 10 to the negative 11.
It just happens to be that way.
Well,
I know.
It is that way, and it happens to be precisely what it would have to be for life to be there. But there's nothing metaphysically that's making it there.
Okay.
Like it could have been different.
Yeah. It could have been different.
Right. But if it were different, then life wouldn't exist.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Okay. I am confused because I guess I don't want to bog us down.
No, the listeners are probably having the same question because I get this. When I taught this is where we got kind of bogged down.
Yeah, because on the surface, I thought you're saying, things don't necessarily have to be this way. But now it seems like they necessarily do have to be this way. But when we're thinking about our object, I think there's a designer though. Right. But those are like mutually exclusive. It seems like.
Yeah. So physically it could have been different.
Okay.
Right. What we're saying, and if it were physically different, then it would no longer be a life permitting.
There'd be no. Okay.
Yeah. What we're saying, so in this practically it has to be this.
Okay.
But logically, it could have been different, is what we're saying.
Gotcha. Logically, it's not necessary.
Right.
But practically, it is necessary, and that's why there's a designer.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you.
That makes sense. Yeah. So there's no, gravity just has to be this logically. But if you want life, it has to be
this way. Okay, gotcha.
So that's what we're saying there. And then the chance is just crazy. So we have some of these. So this applies to constants and initial conditions. So we just took a cross-country trip, not really a cross-country, from Charleston to Bald Knob and back. We had to constantly fill up our tank with gas.
Okay, yep, yeah.
Because you burn gas. We convert that usable energy into, energy of motion, energy of heat, energy of sound. And in doing that, we're increasing the entropy, right? Mm-hmm. We're basically reducing the amount of usable energy that's available. So our universe began with extremely low entropy.
And just getting more.
I.e., a lot of usable energy. And that is one of the initial conditions that is not explained. Like, there's no reason that we should start out at such a high energy level for the Big Bang. It could have started at a low energy level and immediately gone to 0 Kelvin everywhere, and basically be a deadless, lifeless universe for forever. But we started with very high amounts of usable energy. That's one of those initial conditions. Some of the constants that we observed, the gravitational constant we already talked about. If there's slight changes in it, there's no star formation or stars burn out way too fast. Cosmological constant. This basically is controls how fast our universe is expanding.
Gotcha.
And if it were, too big, I don't know which way it goes. So we'll just say if it were, just off, either everything flies apart too fast, galaxies never form, or everything rebounds on itself.
We can't. I've heard this. Yeah.
Strong nuclear force it has to be finely tuned within plus or minus 5%. Without that, there would be no atoms and no fusion. Electromagnetic force has to be finely tuned within 1 and 137. Any slight variation, we wouldn't have chemistry where we'd have unstable atoms. Proton-neutron mass difference is 1.29 mega electron volts. Any change, we would have no hydrogen, and that would mean no stars, and therefore no chemistry.
Man.
So these are just a handful. I think there's like 30 or 40 of these.
More of those, yeah. Gotcha.
So,
okay.
If we look at chance, the values are not necessary; they're contingent. So the chance and the physical necessity kind of roll together. But we already talked about the cosmological argument. We talked about the entropy. So Roger Penrose estimated that our chances of the initial conditions of our universe just happening to have as much energy as we did, usable energy, is 1 in 10 raised to the 10 raised to the 123.
Yeah, when you got 2 of the raisings in there, that's when you know that's when you know you're dealing with big numbers.
That is a huge number. So basically, you can think of 10 to the 123.
Yeah.
That is 1 with 123 zeros behind it. Okay. Whatever number that is, we're raising 10 to that number, and that's how many zeros behind it you would have. Cool. And it's just crazy. So more than 123, that many numbers.
Yeah, that's a lot of numbers. Cool.
We talked about the electromagnetic force versus gravity. It's finely tuned within 10 to the 36th. So if it were different by 1 in 10 to the 40, no stars form. And so these numbers are just, if I said, hey, Zach,
okay,
I got a good game for you.
Great.
I'm going to flip a coin, and every time it lands on heads, I get $1.
Yeah.
And every time it lands on tails, you get $1.
Gotcha.
And if it was a fair coin, you'd be like, basically, the more we flip it, we're basically be even. Maybe I owe you $2, maybe you. But if I flip it like 10 times in a row and it's heads, you'd be like, something's going on here. I think something's fixed. But this would be like, flipping this coin, heads like 4,000 times in a row. Like something's
off.
Something's off here.
Yeah.
This has been fixed. You wouldn't say that it was just hey,
random chance.
Just random chance.
Yeah.
So William Lane Craig is quoted to say, if the constants were different, we wouldn't be here. That's not an explanation. It's just restating the mystery. And so there is a mystery to why we're here, and it all points to us having been designed. So the conclusion is there's nothing that physically requires those constants to be, there's nothing that logically requires those constants to be what they are. They could have been different.
Yeah.
But if they were different, then life wouldn't form. And the fine tuning of those is so, they always say on a razor's edge, but you can't there's no words to explain mathematically how well finely tuned they are.
Yeah, that's good. It would be helpful to just have a Word document with the 0.0000, just you know what I mean?
You couldn't.
That's what I mean. If you just had even pages lined up, it just shows you how rare it is.
Well, there are only 10 to the 80 subatomic particles
in the
whole universe.
Yeah, wow.
So you could not, if you lined up every subatomic particle in the universe, you would not have enough zeros to do this.
That's pretty crazy.
Because this is not 10 to the 80.
This
is 10 to the 10 to the 123.
Yeah.
There's not enough. You could string together a 1 with 1 over every single subatomic particle in the universe, it's still not enough.
Man.
Yeah. It's mind-boggling.
That is mind-boggling.
And you said something. I was going to say something else. Maybe it'll come to me. All right. So is this a good argument? I think it is. the form is valid, although it's a different form.
Yeah.
The fine tuning is either due to these three things. It's not due to these two things.
Yeah,
Therefore,
it almost seems like silly in a good way. Like, I can track with this. You're just like narrowing it down, right?
Yeah. It's not God of the gaps, because we're not saying we don't know. We're saying we do know all these things. We kind of talked a little bit last time about some alternate explanations. Some theologians will say you should never argue for God's existence or the existence of fine tuner based on science because it could change.
Because we get new scientific journals.
Right.
Yeah.
But these are fairly stable science. These are remarkably stable constants, entropy, force balances. So it's not like we're hinging this on some new science that could be here today and gone tomorrow. Obviously, there are revolutions in science every now and then.
Yeah.
We went from Aristotelian physics to who's the Isaac Newtonian physics to Einsteinian physics, but all of those things actually, each one of those revolutions taught us how finely
just
tuned
crazy,
everything is.
yeah.
So I think if we have another revolution, it's going to be just more of, we even understand this more. Wow, it's even more finely tuned.
Yeah, that's really good. So what are, in light of these staggering statistics, I guess the answer is evolution.
Well, evolution, this is a holdover from my notes that probably GPT shouldn't put in here. But
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so evolution doesn't explain any of our, if we're talking about all of what we've talked about, we said, evolution can't explain the origin of the DNA, can't explain the information that's present in the code. It can't explain the conditions that are required for life. So you can't just say fine-tuning, evolution. Because it doesn't explain those. Multiverse is where things are probably going to get pushed in this.
Yeah.
We've already talked about that. That was the end of last episode, right?
Yep. That's right.
But the multiverse over-explains. It over-proves the point here because, one, it would have to be finely tuned.
Yeah.
Two, in order for it to do what we're saying, we would need every possible permutation of universe to be created. And so then we would say, based on that thought process, everything that could happen is going to happen an infinite number of times. So I know what I was going to say a while ago.
Oh, yeah,
It
go
was
for
bugging
it.
me. Have you've watched Price is Right, where they spin that wheel?
I have, yeah.
And in my mind, I think of like this, light years long of all these different wheels with like all these different,
they all have to,
and then you have to spin all of them, and they all
have to line
up on some exact number that hits exactly what you want, on all of them. It's like that is just
crazy.
It's crazy, but it would be like that if you had probably it's probably even underdoing the math.
Yeah.
But if you think you just had these billions of those things, and you got to spin this one, spin this one, spin this one, spin this one, and they all line up to what you need it to be. Just incalculable. Quantum mechanics. Some people have said that the laws of quantum. Neil deGrasse Tyson, and Mark Krauss have said that gravity explains how all this came in because of the laws. Well, you have to have an explanation of the law. Like the law just doesn't come up by itself. That the Big Bang happened from the laws of gravity, and the laws of gravity and the laws of quantum mechanics and stuff explain why things are finely tuned that way. Well, then what they're really appealing to is physical necessity. It just had to be this way. But we have whole fields of scientists, physicists who look at what universes would look like if things were different. And that's how we have this science. And, it could be different, but it's not. It could be different logically. Not physically and still work. I think that's a good distinction.
That is good. I love how all of these, none of the physics, there's always question mark, or it's relativity, quantum mechanics, string. They're just trying to, can't explain or haven't figured out everything lining up very perfectly.
All right. So hopefully these three podcasts have been edifying. There's more out there. If this interests you, reasons to believe, reasonable faith, some of them out there. I don't know if William Dembski's still going, but he has some books. Michael Behe has some books you could read. Stephen Meyer, Guillermo Gonzalez, and Jay Richards put together some stuff. So there's a lot of stuff on the teleological argument.
Nice.
The Jay Richards and Guillermo Gonzalez, they put out some videos. So one
nice.
is about
That's
flight.
Cool. Okay.
You can find these, and you can. They may be probably streamable by now, but
Okay.
I remember watching them on a DVD. One's about the flight and how crazy that is. One is about caterpillar turning to a butterfly, and how the fact that that's coded for in its DNA, and basically goes from one type of organism to another type of organism, and like how could that ever be passed on? How could that ever be selected for? And then I think they have a new one out that I've heard Coco talking about, but I don't remember what it is right now. But yeah,
You forgot something Coco said.
I forgot something Coco said. There you
Can't
go. So,
believe it. Yeah, this is great. Learned a lot. Added to the apologetic playlist,
yeah.
with all
There
our
you
other
go.
ones. It's great.
All right, anything else?
That's it, man.
All
Stack
right.
up these arguments. Go find
There we go.
someone and just challenge them. See what they got to say. I like it.
Yeah, and most of the time, really, questions are your way through this.
Yeah, that's probably
how did
good.
you come to that conclusion? Did you really think? Does that make sense to you? And then help them see, kind of some of the absurdity of what they're believing.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
All right, that is our take.
Thanks for listening to Take Two. Find us wherever you find podcasts and on YouTube for those who want to watch our videocast.